Is it recording?
Looks
Oh,
like
we're recording. Lovely. Welcome once again to Vibrant Life. This is our third conversation. And today I am really happy to have with me a wonderful lady who wears more hats than you could shake a hat stick at. And she's called Gabriela Lerner. Now, I've known Gabriela for, I don't know, about 8 years, I guess. And we met when we were both living in Shaftesbury. So Gabriela is a raw food nutritionalist. She's also been a health coach and sort of majoring in the raw food side of health coaching. She's a spiritual development teacher, and she works a lot with the Course in Miracles. And she also runs the most fabulous gratitude challenges, 30-day gratitude challenges, which I'm sure she'll mention. She is an absolute natural networker. And one of the most incredible things about Gabriela is that she overcame a massive health issue. She actually healed herself from fibromyalgia. How many years ago was that, Gabriela?
Well, I suffered from it for about 18 years,
Right.
and I turned that around in 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, we're coming up to 10 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So today, Gabriela wants to talk about a particular... We're trying to decide what on earth Gabriela could talk about, because to try and pick a topic, because there are so many. So Gabriela feels that the most important thing for her has been the topic of mindset through all of this. Mm-hmm. So Gabriela, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you're here. So yes, please tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background first.
Well, first of all, thank you, Elizabeth, for having me here. It's really a pleasure to talk to you. I always love talking to you, you know that. And I'm so delighted. Like you say, you know, we met 8 years ago and then kind of like just knew each other on the periphery. But in the last 2 years, we've really kind of become friends, and I'm very grateful for that. Yes, my story is one that baffled myself, really, because I actually, so I'm originally German. I came to England through a personal development program called Creating. I followed an American called Robert Fritz, who developed this as a methodology to learn how to create what matters most to you in life. Mm-hmm. And that's how I met my husband, Neil. And it was actually that thing that brought me to England and to eventually move to England in 1989. And it was a really fantastic method of focusing on what you want to create, and then a methodology behind it that helped you to bring those things into manifestation. And I know, you know, lots of people are into this, but it was much less esoterical than it was practical. Mm. And Neil and I, we followed this process still to this day, but then something happened. I had a health crisis. I had a surgical intervention, and it triggered something in me that made me very ill. I basically had some bone marrow taken. I came home from hospital. I went to bed and I didn't get up anymore. Wow. And I spent the next 12 months, 5 out of 7 days in bed. I often couldn't speak. So my voice, my whole nervous system was affected. So I often just couldn't get anything out.
Wow.
I often couldn't move. I often literally crawled through the house, pulling myself along furniture. I wasn't able to take care of our 2 young children. And it was a really difficult time. And it took 18 months of me being ill like that to be diagnosed eventually with fibromyalgia. Mm. Being diagnosed was a blessing and a curse. I say in retrospect, it's a blessing because when somebody tells you this is what's wrong with you, you feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. Mm-hmm. There is something really wrong with me. And now I know where I need to look to find a resolution. But of course, with fibromyalgia, the doctors don't really know how to help you. They basically say it's a condition you're going to have for the rest of your life. They put you on antidepressants because that helps with the pain. And just for everybody who doesn't understand, fibromyalgia is a very misunderstood condition that comes with fatigue, but mainly with chronic pain. So I literally woke up in the morning in pain. I went to bed with pain. I was on masses of painkillers all the time. I did find ways of getting better. So I used every alternative method on the planet. And I also was on medication. I was on a specific medication for fibromyalgia that was developed by an American. I was on painkillers, and I used things like, I tried out different things that sometimes made things a bit better and sometimes didn't. And eventually, probably after about 2.5, 3 years, I was at a point where I was able to work again, but that meant I didn't have energy for social life. Right. My friends knew Gabriela's not available. Picnics weren't for me. A lot of things just couldn't fit in because the bit of energy I had, I used for working and taking care of my family. And, when you're constantly in chronic pain, you're not only, it doesn't not only drain you of energy, but it also creates something that I now call like a downward spiral. You just get deeper and deeper into this mindset of, I have fibromyalgia, I cannot do such and such.
Right.
So I really approached my entire life from that place of, I am a sufferer of fibromyalgia. I have fibromyalgia. I cannot because.
Right.
Okay. And I see this a lot now. And since I've been working as a health coach with people, when I did that, I could see that this is often the thing that we attach to. And it doesn't matter whether it's fibromyalgia or MS or cancer or irritable bowel syndrome or Crohn's disease or whatever it is. We tend to identify with the illness, we become it.
Right. That's what you mean by the curse, I think.
That's the curse.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing because it gave me also excuses. Suddenly I could say to people, I can't because.
Yeah.
But it was a curse because I identified with it. It became me. There was no way out. Wow. And that's a really interesting thing because as I now understand and have then experienced, it can really limit your life choices in a massive way. So I continued to use this creative process that I had learned to bring things into my life, like, a home, a car, I don't know, a piano, whatever it is. But I was not able to really apply this to my health because as far as I was concerned, I have this condition, it's incurable, I have to live with it, it limits me.
Right.
So that's where I was.
So what caused the turnaround? What was the moment, or what was I was going to say the thing, but what was it?
So in 2011, my husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And it's a completely different thing from fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is debilitating, but it doesn't kill you.
Right.
Cancer, you might not have any symptoms, but it can most definitely kill you. And it was a shock to us because we kind of thought we were quite living a healthy lifestyle. I was always into alternative health and all those things. And my husband actually did a very courageous thing that I initially couldn't really relate to. He decided that he wanted to heal from cancer in a natural way. And I fought it, Elizabeth. I actually really didn't I just wanted him to have surgery or treatment, anything that would take this fearful thing away.
Mm.
And it took me several months to get my head around what he was trying to do. And then I remember he was diagnosed at the beginning of October 2011. And by Christmas, I was at a point where I thought our relationship could break because I couldn't cope with his obsession, what I called then an obsession of healing. And he put, it was like supplements and diet and lifestyle. He wanted to go vegan. I thought he was crazy. And I just couldn't understand. And I remember my daughter coming home for Christmas, and within a day of being in the home, she said, "What's going on here, Mum? Because you and Neil, that's not how I know you."
Did she know he was sick?
She knew he was sick. She just never seen us be so at odds with each other.
Okay.
And that stimulated me to sit down. And one day I just said, "Look, Neil, let's sit down. Let's talk about this." And I said, "I don't know how to support you. I think, this is all a bit crazy. And what are we going to do?" And this is when he explained to me really what he was aiming to do. Mm-hmm. And he just said, "I just believe in the body's ability to heal itself. And that's what I want to do." And it was, I don't know, he must have said this to me so many more times before, but when you're not ready to hear it. Absolutely. And then one day you are. It was suddenly like scales were falling off my eyes. And I was just saying, "Oh, okay, that's what you want to do. You want to heal. Okay, I'm on board."
Really?
So from that day, I dedicated myself to help him do the research, I changed our complete dietary plan. I learned how to make other food. We kind of completely changed our lifestyle in terms of stress. We put in exercise, we put in yoga and meditation and all those things. And I really helped him with that. Mm-hmm. And I really got what he wanted to do. And he succeeded. That was the amazing thing. So he went from being a stage 3 cancer, mm-hmm. that needed surgery or radiotherapy and hormone therapy, to not having any treatment and being cancer-free. So by the summer of 2012, we were already mostly vegan. We had made lots of lifestyle changes, and I had seen his dedication to healing. Mm. And then I came across a person. I just happened to find it on the internet. A woman was talking about doing raw food and curing herself of fibromyalgia. And I read her blog post, and I just was fascinated, because by that time, I already understood the idea of healing. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? In this creative process that I studied and was actually a coach in, the creative process, we always talked about creating versus problem solving. When you create, you bring something new into being because you want it. Mm-hmm. When you're problem solving, you're trying to solve a problem, and the best you can get is the absence of the problem, but you're not bringing anything new into being.
Of course, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So when you apply that to health, there's a difference between looking at your health and saying, "I've got fibromyalgia, I've got cancer, I've got this, and I need to get rid of it," mm-hmm. or "I'm creating health."
That's where the mindset comes in.
That's where the mindset comes in.
Isn't it?
So suddenly I understood that I can't just, creating is not just for things, but it's also for my personal well-being. Mm-hmm. And when I read the article of the woman, I thought, this is what we're going to do. And I went to Neil and I said, "How do you feel about going completely 100% raw vegan?" And he was already there, I was just lagging behind, basically. And he just said, great, let's do it, let's go for it. So we went literally, and I'm not advising this to any health coaching client I've ever worked with, by the way, and not to your audience either, but this is what I did because I really wanted to know. I just bit the bullet and I came off all my medication, and the same day went raw food. Wow. So I stopped in September 2012. I stopped taking painkillers, and I was like on 6 to 9 painkillers every day. I stopped taking painkillers, and I stopped taking my fibromyalgia medication, and I haven't taken any medication since. It took 6 months, and it wasn't easy, but after 6 months, I was virtually symptom-free. And I thought, I still wasn't there, Elizabeth. I still kind of just went like, wow, let's teach everybody about raw food because that's going to heal them. And it does, but only when combined with a mindset of wanting to heal.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, creating health.
That is a massive leap of faith. I mean, when you say you stopped taking a medication and went more vegan, there must have been a period of, I don't know if it's days, weeks or months of your body's withdrawal from those drugs and feeling, didn't you go through a period of thinking, oh gosh, I'm in pain, or I don't think this is working, or how did you maintain that?
I think what happened was that I just knew that this would be the way to go, that this would be my way out of limitation, of living this life of being limited in so many ways. And I mean, I'm, you know, without going into the detail, but my fibromyalgia medication actually meant that I wasn't allowed to use any herbal products on myself. I had to screen all my cosmetics. I was not allowed to touch plants in the garden. When I was gardening, I was like dressed like a beekeeper because salicylic acid, which is in every plant, occupies the same receptor cell as this particular medication. So in order for my medication to work, I had to avoid salicylic acid in the body. And even just rubbing a lavender leaf would cause me 24 hours of my medication not working. So not only was there the limitation of being in pain and that, there was also the limitation of sitting on the grass or walking through the garden and picking strawberries, you know. And so when I decided to go cold turkey, I just thought, oh my God, there's a whole world. I just took my shoes off and I walked across the grass for the first time in 18 months.
Wow.
And you know how much I love barefoot walking now, don't you?
Yeah.
It's just a passion of mine now because I wasn't able to do this for a very long time. I was suddenly able to get, you know, my lovely essential oils out and actually put them on my skin and all those things. So I just decided, I had that leap of faith. I just thought, I want to know if this works, and I'm trusting that it will. And I'm willing. I knew the worst that can happen is that I go into a massive fibromyalgia flare. But the interesting thing is that I didn't. I started doing green smoothies every morning and I felt a lot more energy. My body did detox in a massive way. I lost 10 kilos. By Christmas, I had lost 10 kilos. I was down to 47 kilos. I was like a stick insect. I mean, you know, I'm not particularly big to start with. And I detoxed. I just got rid of those. I had months of diarrhea, and something no raw food person ever tells you about. But it's the body getting rid of stuff. It's just literally eliminating.
Did you know to expect this though?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. That's what I'm saying, you know, it's something I taught later, but raw food people don't talk about the diet, you know, how it kind of causes you to lose weight. And that's why a lot of people give up on raw food, because they lose a lot of weight. They may have digestive issues until the system adjusts. I just saw that all through. And to me, at the time, it was still just about the food. But it later occurred to me that there was, particularly when I started working with patients, that clients more like, because I'm not a doctor, they're not my patients, they're my clients. But you know, when I started work with clients, I could see how much difference the mindset made. You know? And we know this, right? We have evidence that, for example, if somebody believes that chemotherapy will help them, it's going to be much more likely to succeed. If somebody believes the natural system helps them, more likely to succeed.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, anything that we can create in our mind that takes away fear and gives us this trust will more likely work. You know, you think about COVID right now, if you feel the vaccine's going to give you safety and this and that, it probably will. But if it freaks you out to have vaccine, then it probably won't. So it's probably better to not. So, you know, it's not like a black and white and this is right and this is wrong. It's like, where are you coming from? And then I'd been kind of at the edge of opening my spiritual closet and letting it all out. That was the next kind of leap of faith. And when I did that and started to intensively work with A Course in Miracles, I really learned that it's all in here. It's all our thoughts. It's all our perceptions. It's all what we're projecting out. And if we come from fear, we'll create fear, and we'll create all the evidence in our lives that proves to us that we are right to be fearful.
Absolutely true, yeah.
If we approach life from a place of, it's a lovely place, people are good to me, you know, good things are coming to me, that's what we project and that's what we receive back.
In the beginning, before you completely embraced this mindset, what were the sort of the baby steps to get to that point of absolutely trusting it, knowing it, living it, walking your talk? Because that doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No, it does not. I mean, it could happen overnight. Some people do, you know, that's what happens, I think, when you have near-death experiences, for example.
Yeah.
I didn't have that dramatic experience, but I think what happened for me personally was that I just, you know, once I was symptom free, so that was like January, February 2013, I decided to study. So the first thing I did was become a raw food teacher, a raw food chef. I trained as a raw food teacher. Then in October 2013, I started training as a health coach, an integrative nutrition health coach. So there's a lot about mindset in that, because integrative means everything, mind, body, spirit. And you know, when you start looking into things, other things are being, the universe presents things to you.
Yes, it does, yes, yeah.
The universe guides you along. Here's another book to read, Gabriela. Here's another course to do, Gabriela. And bit by bit, I got more and more interested in the spiritual side of things, but I was terrified of it as well. I just was terrified to come out as somebody who, you know, I'd been so matter of fact and rational all my life. And I was brought up in a Catholic household and I rejected religion. And I was almost an atheist.
Yes.
I mean, the best I could believe in was nature spirits, because that felt kind of like cozy and nice, you know.
Yes. Yes.
But say things like God and source or God, it was just like not something that felt comfortable to me, but I felt simultaneously drawn to it. I knew I was guided in that direction. And when I did, so I published, I published a little recipe book, and then I wanted to write a book about my journey. And I did a Hay House writers course in 2016. And already by that time, once every 2 months, something came into my inbox or into my awareness that said, A Course in Miracles. And I just looked at that and I thought, mentions Jesus? No. And it's big and it looks like the Bible and it's printed on thin paper. Not for me. So I read everything around A Course in Miracles. So I read Eckhart Tolle, I read Gabriel Bernstein, Marianne Williamson, you name it, I read it. And then I did the Hay House Writers Workshop, and Robert Holden, do you know Robert Holden? He's a spiritual teacher. He's written books together with Louise Hay. One of them is, Life Loves You. He's a really lovely guy. And he was on stage and one of the things he said was, and everything's changed for me when I did the Course in Miracles. And I thought, okay, Gabriela, this is it. When the universe tells you 3 times, it's time to listen. And I bought the book and I haven't looked back. So, and that's when, and during that time, I'd already come out of the spiritual closet just a little bit. Yeah. I created a training called Raw Love Awakening, forgotten because it seems like ages ago, where I brought together all those things. The physical, the focus on health rather than on problem solving, meditation, movement, diet, but also love and presence. So I brought all that together in a course, and I called it the 6 Prayers of Raw Love Awakening. And it was so scary to come out like that. It really felt like I'm coming out as somebody who does this woo-woo stuff, And but now it's kind of like, well, people either like it or don't. I don't really care, because for me, it's my path and I love sharing it with others. And it's why I created the gratitude challenge, because this is another thing I feel is hugely important and beneficial and hugely misunderstood.
What? Gratitude?
Gratitude.
Okay. I mean, having done your gratitude challenges, I can see that it encompasses a great deal more than most people realize. But tell me what you mean by that.
I think most people see gratitude as something that has to do with, I don't really deserve it, and therefore I need to be grateful for it.
Right.
So most human beings have this underlying thought that somehow they don't really deserve what they have. And they also compare it to other people's misfortune. India has, we're so grateful that we're not in India right now, right? I'm so grateful because I have a house, because other people are homeless. So we compare with others and we feel slightly bad and guilty for the fact that we have something that somebody else doesn't have. That's not a healthy form of gratitude, because it implies and puts focus on there is a difference, there's separation, I'm different from other people, and it also re-stimulates this kind of ego guilt that we all carry as human beings, that we somehow adopted at some point, that we're really somehow not quite okay. And it completely misses the point that we are eternal, perfect spiritual beings in a human body.
Mm.
So when we're grateful from a place of I'm perfect and the world is perfect, and we start to train ourselves to see that, then everything opens up. And then we can inspire others and take others with us on this journey. You know, A Course in Miracles says we're not going home alone. We can't. We can only go together, all of us together. So to me, that was the reason why I created the Gratitude Challenge, because, and this didn't kind of, you know, again, I had Pam Grout's book that inspired me to do this, because when I read her book, I thought, yeah, we need to just be grateful for the glass of water right now, right here, not because somebody else doesn't have it, but because it's amazing.
Yes, so rather than I'm grateful for it because I have it, it's being grateful for its amazingness.
Yes, for its beauty, its perfection.
Yeah, that is a completely different spin, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that obviously now I've done 3 gratitude challenges with you. In fact, you've changed the name. You don't call it a challenge now. You call it
an experiment.
Thank you, experiment. Which in some respects is better, but I also like challenge. But you're right. It after the first few days or so, when it's quite easy to write 3 gratitudes, after those first few days, it does really, really make you look with fresh eyes at the world. It's the mundane, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and it's a muscle that we train and practice. So the more we do it, I mean, I don't just do it when I do the challenge or experiment. I've started calling it an experiment because actually originally the book calls it an experiment. And also challenge always seemed to me like people, you know, a challenge is like, it doesn't come easy to me, but I'm going to make myself do it. And I didn't want people to feel that.
No.
I wanted people to have an experiment, try it out, make it an experiment, explore it, and see what it does for you. So I do it all the time. And I do it together with my husband. And sometimes I do it on my own. I also do a meditation around it. So I don't go to bed without gratitudes in my mind.
That's true. I mean, even prior to the gratitude challenges, I had done that. The end of the day reflection, being grateful for even my pillow, the feel of my pillow.
Yes, yeah.
But although I certainly do that at the end of the day, I haven't yet got to the point where outside of the gratitude challenges, I'm remembering to do it all the time. I'd be a complete liar if I said I did. I go through phases of it, and some days I'm more aware and other days not until bedtime. So bedtime for me is the one time when I do remember it. But
so, you know, Elizabeth, I think one of the things that I find happens when you do it on a regular basis is, because you say sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, you get to the point where you don't do anymore, where you just are grateful.
Yes, I get that.
So you're not, so for me, it's like I approach now everything from this place of gratitude and love. And the times when I need to refocus is when something tries to pull me into fear. So, for example, we are trying to go to Portugal on Monday, and just this morning the news said oh, Portugal might be closed and you might not be able to get in. So, you know, I get messages from friends. Have you seen the news? Have you seen? And then the ego wants to go, oh my God.
Mm.
So that's the time to refocus. That's the time when mindset comes in and says, not interested in the fear bit. Where do I want to go? And how do I want the experience to be? And how much do I trust that whatever happens is the right thing for me to happen?
Yeah. That's massive.
It is massive because you get tempted. You know, I mean, the Course in Miracles calls this the temptation. The temptation is not to sin, like the Bible says. The temptation is to be drawn into fear. But if we really believed that we are eternal spirits that can't be hurt, that you know, have all the power within us, then we can do anything, and anything will be fine too. Doesn't matter.
So, for example, if next week you are unable to travel, you will know in your absolute knowing that that is absolutely the best thing.
Yeah, and we'll just do something else.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
See, I think that's such a lovely term. I love that. It's one of the things that we don't have this in German, but I love it. You cross the bridge when you get there. But what do we do? Well, what do? We kind of like look at the past. Once we crossed a similar bridge in the past, we bring that into the presence and we make it inform our future.
Yeah.
And so nothing changes because we're constantly, you know, this is what I did. I had fibromyalgia. And so once I sat on the floor in picnic and it caused me to be ill the next day because I got all cold, that was my memory. I brought that into the presence and I projected it into the future. I cannot sit on the ground. If I do, I get ill.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I also had decided that I'm vulnerable. So if I get exposed to a flu or cold virus, I'll just get it. And you know what I did? I had to just think, oh my God, there's a flu virus going around. Bang, I was ill for 2 weeks. I haven't had a flu well, I've had colds, but nothing of significance. I haven't had a flu since I went raw food. And I know it's not just to do with the fact that I eat raw food. It's the fact that I'm not afraid to get ill.
Because you've been so ill and you know you can come back from that. Is that why?
No, because I know that my mindset has an impact on what I experience. You know, I can wake up in the morning and have a stiff neck, and I have two choices. I can either say, oh, bloody hell, I've got a stiff neck again. Why? Why can't I just wake up in the morning and not have such a stiff neck? And I really hate this. And you know what? The stiff neck will just hang around. Or I can just lie in bed and say, oh, interesting. There's an experience of stiffness in my neck. But, you know, I'm not really a body. That's just something I'm making up. That's just something I'm experiencing right now. And let's just relax and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then that whole thing shifts. And then you might still go and put a bit of a muscle rub on or do whatever, do some yoga or some stretches, but you're approaching it from a completely different place. So you always have this, the path splits and you choose, where do I go?
Yes, yeah. So Gabriela, if some people watching this now are in awe and think, God, that's so far removed from where I am now, but it sounds like an amazing place to be, an amazing state of mind. How would you say to start? How to take the steps?
It's a good question, because I think everybody has a different path.
Mm.
You know, there was a beautiful line in A Course in Miracles lesson just the other day that touched on this. Everybody finds it in a different way. You know, if this conversation that we've just had makes somebody interested in this idea, then I mean, they can reach out to you, they can reach out to me, they can join my gratitude group, or they could ask me to have a chat about A Course in Miracles, or they could buy the Course in Miracles and see if that is for them, or any other book that leads them in that direction. And you know, it is not, for most people, not an overnight effect. But what I do believe is, and I've seen this also in the spiritual community, there are people who do a lot of studying and never apply it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then there are people who just apply it. I've always been an applier.
You just do it.
I just do it. So, you know, let's do raw food. I'll learn what it takes to do this. So I just do. I don't talk about it that as much as I do it. And the same was true for me for, you know, A Course in Miracles. I do my lesson. I've been doing my lesson since 2016, every single day. I don't miss a day, ever. It's just part of my life. And teaching it has helped me to develop that further. But everybody needs to start somewhere. But the main thing is that you make a decision, that you open your mind and you say, from today on, I want to live from a place of love and gratitude rather than from a place of fear. And if you do that, God, the universe, your source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will respond to this in the way that's right for you. But you've got to be willing, not just intellectually to understand it, but to really let it into your heart.
The word surrender has just come into my head.
Nice one.
Because as you were speaking, I was thinking, does this require hard work or determination or whatever? And then suddenly the word surrender. Would you say that has a place in the process?
For sure. But surrender, like gratitude, is also misunderstood, because surrender, people often think like, I've got to let, you know, anything happen to me, what's coming from the outside.
Right.
Real surrender is to know your strength inside. I mean, it's like, you know, which is it? Psalm 30, 40, I can't remember, 43, 34.
Don't ask me.
Nothing can shake me. I know God won't forsake me. You know, nothing can shake me, because I'm just in this presence of this spirit that guides me and that's here for me. And therefore, surrender means to let go of trying to control external things that could do harm to you.
Yes, that's kind of the feeling I got when the word surrender came in.
And that is the surrender. Yeah. It's not like I'm surrendering and therefore I'm going to let people trample all over me, or I'm going to just have to surrender to the fact that my life is shit. No. It's about I'm letting go of the ego mind trying to control the outcomes.
Yes, that's the kind of feeling I got around it. And it was about surrendering control.
Yes.
Or the perception that one needs to control, or even the perception that one can control.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, You know, how much control do we really have? Absolutely zero, really.
But, you know, I think the way we see the world is reflected back at us. And I see this over and over again. And then occasionally this little kind of doubt comes in and says, maybe you've just been lucky, you know.
Yes, I understand that,
And then I think, lucky? Really? 18 years of fibromyalgia, husband with a stage 3 cancer? Lucky? I mean, you know, no, it's nothing to do with luck. It's to do with having decided to see the world differently from how I used to see it.
And you mentioned a few moments ago about COVID and its effect. Would you say that you, during this last year, let's say, you have purposely distanced yourself, or you've just been present with COVID?
Both. Initially, I was very present because I wanted to know and understand. And then I just got so much conspiracy thrown at me that I decided that that didn't fit into the way I see the world. You know, this goes back to the same thing: fear or love, fear or love. So, you know, I didn't want to know all the fear mongering around. People are dying, and you know, everybody's going to get it, and it's going to be horrible. But I also didn't want to go into all the fear mongering about the vaccine's going to be damaging, and we're just being controlled, and all. You know, frankly, I just didn't want to see the world in that way.
So, yes, I suppose what I'm trying to get to is having chosen to see the world as a loving, joyful, wonderful place. With all of this going on, did you just blinker yourself to it and go, I'm actually not looking at that?
I limited what I'm looking at.
Yeah, or yes, I acknowledge that that is happening, but to me, it's not happening.
Okay, so this, I have to go back to my Course in Miracles teachings, and this might sound really weird, and as actually something that in my program and in my classes we touch on a lot. But you know, A Course in Miracles teaches us that the world we see is an illusion. We make it up in our mind. Right. It's not real. So the practice as a Course in Miracles student is to remind myself that it's not real. And that I have a choice whether I'm going to go into the illusion and give that fuel, or I give love fuel. Right. And so I limited input to the degree that people would send me a link and I just decide not to look at it, or I would start looking at it and I'd go with what my heart feels. So if I start looking at something or watching a video and my heart goes, yeah, I let go of that. I stop watching it because it's not serving me. Yeah. It's pulling me into the illusion. It's pulling me into fear. It's not something I want to do. So I stop watching it. I refocus and I, you know, go back and be with that trust within myself. And that's been challenging. Because I have also, you know, you hang out with friends. I mean, I've spent whole walks talking about conspiracy theories and having to find the balance of being able to listen to that without being drawn into it and conspiring with it. Because as we conspire, we make it bigger and we make it more real. Yeah. So remember the idea of what you focus on expands, right? Mm-hmm. What you focus on expands. If you're pregnant and you're really into pregnancy, you suddenly see all these women in town that are also pregnant, and you know, your Facebook feed will tell you things about pregnancy. So what we focus on expands. And so this is always that moment, and we have that every single moment of the day. Now, do I want to go there or do I want to go there? What do I want to expand? For myself, my value, I want to expand love. I want to bring more love to the world. I want more people to love. I want to love everybody. It's not always easy.
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, it is. I think you epitomize mastery of this.
I wouldn't go that far.
You probably wouldn't, but I don't think perhaps you fully appreciate how far away from most people's experience you have actually progressed, and I think that's phenomenal. I think you're an absolute testament to the power of mindset, or sorry, the power of, maybe that's not the right word, the importance of.
No, the power is good. You know, I really believe in this. See, it's interesting because the Course in Miracles teaches us that the power is within. It's not an external. God is not an external force.
No.
It's within us. Christ is not an external thing. It's within us. And if we really get that and feel that, then we're the center of the universe. Each one of us in their own little world. And in that understanding, you are me and I am you. And then I look at you and everything I see in you, you know, whether it's those little dandelion seed heads behind you, or your glasses, or your hair, or your beautiful necklace, to me, that's all light shining brightly. Shining brightly. You're like a beacon right there, and I connect with that.
So that's how you view everybody and everything. Yes.
That's what I'm aiming to view everybody. When I go down the lane and the neighbor shouts at me, then I might not, or the neighbor's dog barks at me aggressively, then I'm being challenged in that. And then I have to just open up and say, okay, so this irritates me now. So how do I get back to love? Do you know, the Course in Miracles, very early on in the book, says, A Course in Miracles is not about teaching the meaning of love, because that is beyond understanding. What it does teach is to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's existence.
Remove the blocks. Say that again. Remove the blocks.
Remove the blocks to the awareness of love's existence. So we have these blocks that stop us from seeing that everything is love, and that we are love, and that you are love, and that the glass of water is love. We have these blocks.
Yes.
Because we filter the world through our past memories that aren't even there anymore, you know. And through everything that we've been told, the world is a dangerous place. If you don't take care, things will happen. So things, you know, yesterday a lady came to the house to pick something up, and I said, how are you? And she said to me, well, you know me, you know, I work on the premise that everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
No.
And I said, you know, that's a good place to start changing the way you think about things. Because if you do work on that premise, everything will go wrong.
At least she's honest and she's aware.
Yes, at least she's aware.
Oh, Gabriela, it has been so wonderful talking to you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, really, wow. Well, thank you.
Maybe I need to have a look at the Course in Miracles. I've told you before, I had the book for many years. I was given it, and I just couldn't get on with it. But sometimes we're just not ready, are we?
Yeah, and also not all paths lead home.
Yes.
You know, it's not just a course. For some people, it's a Course in Miracles. For some people, it's Buddhism. For some people, it's something completely different. But all paths lead home and to our source. I believe that. And so it doesn't really matter which path you take. And it also doesn't matter how long the path takes. But to me, it was the right thing at the right time. And I also see how it helps people shift and change and remove those blocks. And that's a real gift. And that I earn my money. I'm a network marketer. I earn my money by recommending and helping people find non-toxic products in their everyday life. So I do the gratitude challenge without any money involved. That's just my gift to the world. And the Course in Miracles program that I run, I only charge a nominal fee to cover my technical expenses, but the rest is my gift to the world. So that was for me really important, because for a while there, and I know we're going over time, but for a while there, I thought I had to make my spiritual path also my earning a living path. And it didn't work very well. So I just found a way of making a living, and so that I can give back to the world and share that light and help people ignite it and bring it out in whichever way is right for them. So, don't feel that one has to do the Course in Miracles. I don't think that's true. No, whatever it is.
Yes. Whereas other books along the way or other people have inspired me. Yes, you're right. Maybe Course in Miracles was just not the approach for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly the gratitude challenge is, and I look forward to the next one, which is, I think, in June.
1st of June. Yes. Starting
soon.
Yes, I know. It's very, very soon. 1st of June, we're going to start again, and it's going to be on Facebook, and people can join. It's free, and it's a lovely community of people, and
it is.
I love doing it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I know also that you've had back-to-back meetings today, and you've got a lot to do. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you
I wish
very much.
you all the best, and I wish you well for next week with your traveling and all that is going to lead on to. And I'm already going to book my place as a visitor in Portugal.
That would be lovely, Elizabeth. I would really, really, really love that. Please come and see us. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I always love talking to you, and I've done lots of interviews where I interview people. It's quite nice to have it the other way around.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Yes.
And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Have a good day. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.